Hey, what's up YouTube, and welcome to another great product spotlight video brought to you by Mount Baker Vapor. And today we're going to be taking a look at a product that a lot of you are probably familiar with already, but if you haven't seen it, you're going to want to check this out. What we've got is something exciting from Geek Vape. We're going to be looking at the Aegis Legend kit, a 200 watt box mod, dual 18650 battery. Just definitely something new, something interesting, got a lot of cool features on it. So why don't we go ahead and dive down, unbox it, and take a look and see what's inside. All right, so what we got here today is the Aegis Legend kit by Geek Vape. So for those of you who may not know, Geek Vape's a company that's been around for quite a while. Got a lot of good stuff. I first became familiar with Geek Vape with the Tsunami RDA that they had. I never really had much experience up until the last, I believe it was Legend that they did with an actual Geek Vape mod or a tank, but I know they also had a few other tanks out there that were pretty good. Never personally used them myself. Like I said, Tsunami was kind of my first real experience with them. So when I came across this, so the first Legend, I really wasn't a fan of it. I just really didn't like the way it was shaped, like ergonomically, it felt bad in my hand. It's kind of a large mod. It was also one of those ones that where you could like fit multiple batteries in it with an adapter, and that just really didn't appeal to me. And it didn't function right. So this is strictly a dual 18650 battery mod. And you know, I first got it, I really didn't know what to make of it when I got my sample, and this is my personal one here. I got the black and orange one. Geek Vape was nice enough to send me over a sample, and I wasn't really sure what to make of it. But I gotta tell you, it's a really great mod, really durable. This thing is just like a brick, and it functions flawlessly. Chipset in it has a very, very basic user interface, but it's all about functionality here. So if you're looking for something that's like really flashy and got a lot of bright lights and you know, this colorful large user interface, this probably isn't going to be for you. But if you want something that's capable of up to 200 watts of power, just something very straightforward, something that can really take a beating, this device, I gotta say, will probably suit all your needs. So inside of the packaging, we have the mod itself. They're all going to be black. So these are, I believe, aluminum, zinc, and silicone. They're constructive aluminum, zinc, and silicone. And you can see the silicone here on the outside, which kind of makes for a nice little protection layer over at. This device is shockproof, so you could drop this thing from up to about 6 feet. They say 2 meters and it'd be okay. I don't recommend doing that with your tank. I have tried it out, just kind of throwing it around, and you know, it really takes a beating. Even, so this one's got the, this is the rainbow version. It's got the accents, the buttons are accented in the rainbow color. This right here, and then you can see the stitching kind of has this very distinct rainbow. This is also really nice, the leather grip that you've got right here on the back. It gives the device a really comfortable feel. So I have large hands, and you know, it fits my hand pretty good. It is a little on the bigger side, but like I said, it's kind of designed to be just that, like this brick sort of device. So yeah, on the bottom we've got our battery door, which is a nice battery door. So some of these battery doors, you know, I'm not really a fan of on the bottom. I really do prefer more like the side magnetic battery doors. But this one was actually done really well. So it's very clicky, very tight, and it pops open. That's all you gotta do is just press that button back and pop it open. And then you pull it back, push down, and I just slide it back over, which would be a little bit tougher to do with batteries, but you can see and feel how it seals up when you put the batteries in, which is necessary because this device is also waterproof. So it's waterproof up to 1 meter for up to half an hour roughly. And we have tested that out. We did a couple videos with this product at the river, and we had this mod in the water for probably about an hour before it finally died. So that half-hour mark is pretty realistic, and I've had mods before where you splash them with a little bit of water, they get wet, and then it kind of dies off and it never comes back to life. So they said it was waterproof. We had it in the mod in the water for quite a while, and it did die. Now, the thing that I thought was amazing was that that's understandable. I'm sure something can only be so waterproof, but it came back to life. So I got rid of those batteries, didn't want to risk, there being a problem with the batteries. Replaced the batteries and kind of gave it, a day or so. Went to turn it on just to see if it would work, and it fired right back up. Everything looked the same. I think I had maybe like a little tiny water spot on the screen, but no big deal. So yeah, waterproof, shockproof, and also dustproof. So if you're working in a really dusty environment, let's say you're a construction worker, for example, this is going to be something that's going to survive that work site. So, it's something you can have with you and you can feel comfortable. You're going to spend a little more money on this kit. I believe the price on them is an average about $80, and I believe that's what we'll be selling them for at mountbakervapor.com, $74.99 or $80. But definitely well worth it, especially if you're outdoorsy or you have a very hands-on job, like I said, like in construction or something like that. You can take this with you, maybe throw a little vape band if you can fit one on there. It does come with straight glass as well. That way you don't break your glass on the job site and you don't have to worry about it, which is nice because, you don't want to have to keep buying these mods. And I know I've seen people that do have jobs like that where they're constantly going through these mods and they do want to find something durable, and that definitely fits. This definitely fits the bill here. So like I said, inside we have the tank here, and the tank that comes with it is the Geekvape Aero tank. Pretty large tank. I believe the tank holds up to 7 mils with the bubble glass and then 5 mils with the straight glass. It's got a dual airflow slots on the bottom. It's got a little bit of resistance there, so nice and easy to adjust, not too hard to adjust. You don't want too much resistance, but you don't want this thing sliding all over the place. And I haven't really experienced that. And we do have a wide bore Delrin drip tip that is included as well, and it's really in there. And I did test this, and this is 810 Delrin drip tip. This is compatible with your Goon style drip tips as well if you wanted to use those. You can see that large hole for the drip tip, and it's also going to be top fill, so it's not going to be a push top fill. It's going to be turn cap top fill. I really like the sills that they put on here, and there's also these notches, so you kind of got to look and see when you're putting the cap back on where that's at. And it's only not even a quarter turn. Just a very, very easy to take on and off. The one thing I do have to warn you about though is when you do take this off or put it back on, you really kind of want to be delicate with it. If you're taking the tank off to fill it, or even if it's on. So let's see our tank on here. I also thought that was a little weird, and I mean, it's got a nice 510, it's got a spring-loaded 510 pin there. The threads on the tank and on the 510 connection are really good, but you put it in there, and you have to kind of press down and then start screwing that in. I thought it was weird that it wiggled around a little bit. And it's just like a minor thing that I noticed. I haven't had any issues with it shorting out or not reading the device. So, I mean, that's good. Just minor con, definitely not a big deal. Just something that I noticed. So when you've got your top fill cap off, what I would say is just kind of just gently, once you set it into place, just give it that turn. And as soon as you experience any resistance there, you don't want to over tighten this, just stop. What I've done a couple times on mine is, I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing. You can kind of see that I've got it to about a quarter turn now. And that's because I was really cranking it down, and I really don't think that you're supposed to tighten it that much. What happens is that you go to take it off, and it really gets on there, and you can't take just the top fill cap off. So what you do is you end up taking the whole tank apart. The whole thing just unscrews. You'll spill your juice. If that happens, just hold your glass. And what I've been doing too is maybe taking these off if you really have to and getting a plier and holding this and then just kind of twisting that, and that works too. So yeah, we got that good sized tank. Now inside the tank, we get a mesh coil that Geek Vape has manufactured, and this is just labeled the Mesh 1 coil. So I believe that's all they're called, just a mesh coil, and we will have those up on the website. And this is rated at 0.2 ohms with 30 to 90 watt range, best from 60 to 80 watts. And the coils themselves have really good flavor. Cotton, not getting a lot of cottony taste out of it. They wick really fast, they break in really fast as well. It puts out a good amount of vapor. We'll kind of go over that a little bit, show you exactly how the device performs. So yeah, that's really great. It also comes with your extra straight glass like we mentioned. And it comes with the IM4 coil. So this will be what the package of coil looks like for those. The IM coil, apparently there's an IM1 coil and an IM4 coil. So the M1 may vary. I believe that IM1 is actually the mesh coil. The IM4 coil has 4 smaller coils inside the coil head. And this is rated at 0.15, 60 to 80 watts. So a smaller range, not necessarily a bad thing. That's something I prefer more, is to have a more narrow range in my wattage. I feel like I'm going to get the best performance out of my coil, but then again, that's all preference. And this is nichrome 80 wire, whereas the mesh coil is actually a Kanthal mesh wire. So we got that coil there. And another box of goodies. Got some extra O-rings. There's actually a 510 drip tip adapter, some extra seals for the top of the tank, and a nice little USB cable. I kind of wish that they had maybe put a different drip tip in there, but you got the drip tip adapter. You've also got the replacement for the USB port. So if we take a look at the USB port, that's going to be right here on the top. A little bit different placement. I really like the feel of this and the build. It goes again with the whole waterproof thing, but it really sits in there and it's a nice plug. It made it a little hard to actually get a USB cable in there, and I haven't used theirs to charge it. I've been using my own, but a USB cable is kind of a USB cable. It made it kind of hard because of the placement of the tank and this port to get a USB cable in there. Just the shape of the whole slot there too was a little strange, and I didn't have very good luck charging my device through that USB port. So I would recommend definitely charging your devices with your battery charger, an external battery charger, but that's pretty much standard. You can use that for upgrades. Geek Vape does offer firmware upgrades, and you can upgrade your firmware through that port. We're also going to get a warranty card inside, and we get this nice little instruction manual as well. And it's got a really good breakdown of all of the features of this device. It goes over the different modes, and we'll actually take a look at those here in a minute. And it kind of just explains everything. Got some customer service info, just a really nice little booklet, so be sure to check that out. Clear off some of our junk here. All right. So here's my own personal device. I've got my 18650 batteries, my own life batteries here. And once you open that hatch, you'll see very clearly labeled the plus and minus indicators for positive and negative leads of your battery. Simply just slip your batteries in. And then press down and push and lock into place. Really easy to open and close. A lot of these bottom load battery sleds there, sometimes they can be kind of hard to close once you've got the actual batteries in there. Because this thing is basically like sealed up so tight, no battery rattle either, which is really nice. We've got all the accents on here. We've got that fire button, the up and down button, the plus and minus for adjustments on the wattage, And I do like this rocker panel that they have here for the plus and minus adjustments. I've always kind of been a fan of that. It is very clicky, very responsive, as is the fire button. And pretty standard 5 clicks on, 5 clicks off. You'll get that lightning bolt. And you got a nice little color screen there as well. So, you know, just a cool little feature, a little bit of customization to match these accents. One of the other things I really liked was this accent, the paint and the design of these. I've noticed is really durable. It's not like some other products out there. I won't go into talking about them, but I'm sure a lot of you were familiar with them, where you got it, it looked really beautiful at the beginning, and then you get a little chip or scratch and all the paint and everything comes off, and this is really well done. So right now we've got it set into power mode. There are several modes here. In order to change your modes to get into that mode selection screen, simply click your button 3 times. And you'll notice the top becomes highlighted. And now if you hit the plus or minus button, you can scroll through the modes. So there we've got power. We've got temp control nickel, temp control stainless steel, temp control titanium, and there's our TCR function, and then we've got one labeled VPC, and there's multiple settings down there within those, and I believe this is a variable power curve. Yeah, it's a power curve of some sort for sure. So let's say we want to use the variable power curve. Click 3 times. All right. Now if you click this button again, it'll take you down through each point that you can set on the power curve. You can adjust those up or down. And this is all done in wattage, so you'd basically be setting a wattage curve here. 1, 2, 3. Now it takes me back up top. We continue to cycle. We've got a bypass mode. And we're back to power. Now that we're back to power, if I just hit this once, the fire button scrolls through to the coil, then the puff counter, which can be reset by hitting this plus button here. And then if you let it go, it'll time out. But let's say you want to enter that mode, simply long press this button here. You can also change the color of the screen too, and the brightness. So we can adjust the brightness. If you hold the fire button and the minus button, it'll take you into this screen. Then continue to hold the fire button. You can plus or minus to adjust the brightness level. And then click again to get out of there. Then to adjust the color, I believe if you hold the plus and minus button, that'll lock it. I'm trying to remember how to change the color on this thing. Stealth mode apparently is holding plus and minus at the same time and the fire button for 2 seconds. That's brightness again. Definitely covers that in the instruction book. I'll show you how to cycle through the colors as well. You can go into stealth mode, which will allow you to only fire the mod. It won't allow you to make any changes to the mod. So yeah, I mean, that pretty much is what we got going on with the Geek Vape Aegis Legend kit here. Let's go ahead and head back up. We'll vape on it, talk about it, and see what it's all about. All right, so we got the Aegis Legend kit from Geek Vape. We've got the aero tank sitting on top of this dual 18650 battery box mod here. Aero tank got a really good flavor. I'm getting really good flavor off these mesh coils. Now, when mesh coils first started to come out, in my opinion, there were only maybe 1 or 2 companies that did them well, and I feel like, you know, people are just improving upon the design, and you know, you're not just limited. Like before, the only mesh coil I really used was the Falcon Tank mesh coil. That's where it was at for me. And the Falcon Tank mesh coils are really good, like still probably one of my favorites, but this one is definitely up there. So Getting a lot of good flavor and vapor production. I got it sitting at 75 watts. Changed my screen to red. We kind of covered that already. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a little puff on it and see how this thing performs. Really clean flavor. I've got my airflow at about almost halfway open, getting really good airflow on it. I really did like that a lot. There is a little bit of resistance, which I like. I'm not a real big fan of having airflow like wide open. So even with this one, when it's wide open, there's still a little bit of pull, like a little bit of turbulence. It's not just straight wide open airflow, and I don't really like that. Some of you may like that. This is all preference, just because then I feel like the vapor is not as dense, the flavor is not as good, and I'm just getting like a mouthful of air. I'm not really satiating that craving that I have for nicotine. I'm not getting good flavor off my juice. So yeah, definitely like the design of this airflow as well. And like I said, just enough resistance on there. There are some tanks out there where they go that extra mile to make sure that there is a lot of resistance on this, but then once it sits on the mod, it kind of makes it a nightmare to try and adjust that. And it looks good. I mean, you gotta love this drip tip that you got on here on this one. I really do like that. On the rainbow one, we just had that standard black. So on the orange one, got that nice little colorful drip tip, got these accents on the tanks and the mod itself as well. So this has been my go-to mod lately. So obviously, you know, just kind of because of the nature of things, I've always got something different in my hand, but I always seem to come back to this. I'm a simple guy, I guess. I like simple things, and this is definitely simple, but it's functional and it works flawlessly. The screen, I like it too because you can move in 0.1 increments up and down if you want. Just tap on it, but once you hold it, it'll move like that for maybe a few seconds, and then you jump into the 1 increments, which you can scroll through really quick. And like I said, it goes, I believe, 5 to up to 200 watts. And I know that it'll read down to 0.05 ohms in any of the modes that you have there. And in the wattage mode, it'll read all the way up to 3 ohms as well. And they have those wattages laid out in the instruction book for each mode. So you can see 0.05 to highest wattage rating that it'll read, which is also nice. So well done on Geek Vape's part. If you're looking for a nice little setup, you want a high wattage box mod, you want something with external replaceable batteries, something that just looks good, feels good in your hand, you don't gotta worry about because it's pretty much indestructible, and you can just kind of knock this thing around. You can dunk it in water. That was a big selling point for me because I had a mod, an expensive mod that I took with me and set out by the pool once, and I accidentally splashed water on it. Not a lot of water, like I dried my hand and then went to touch the mod and it shorted out. And I'm not sure why that happened, but it was fairly expensive, so I wasn't really happy about that. So the fact that I could dunk this in water and it came back to life, just, yeah, I mean, that had me sold right there. If you dunk it in water, know that when you put this in water, water is going to go in your tank. You're gonna have to change the coil or fire it until that shit's out. But I would change the coil because you don't want to vape water. Like, this is not water in here. Vape juice is not water. You start vaping water and you might run into some problems. I really don't recommend that. What I do recommend, however, is you going to Mount Baker Vapor, mtbakervapor.com, and picking one of these guys up. I mean, you can't beat it. They're great. Why wouldn't you get one? Been rocking the solar berry juice as well. If you're looking for a good fruit flavor, something a little different, not too sweet. It's got a little bit of elderberry, I believe, and pomegranate. Solar berry juice is kind of where it's at. Very clean flavor. Each note in there is just really great. So, been digging the solar berry lately. You're probably gonna want to check that out too. When you're done doing all your shopping, or do it right now. Why not do it right now? Hit that subscribe button. Show me some love. Show me that you like me, that you care. And if you don't, whatever, I tried. So anyway, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you know, on social media platforms. Show Mount Baker some love too, not just me. Show Mount Baker some love, and hook yourself up with a new starter kit. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.